You're watching Monty TV. I'm Jackie Karsh, sitting down now with Martin Kahn. He's the president and COO of AI startup Cohere. Martin, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me.
So I love this. There's been about a $30 billion investment in generative AI in 2023. What do you predict for 2024?
We see 2023 as the year of the POC, and we see 2024 as the year of deployment in production at scale. What I mean by that is in 2023, every company, every CEO was asking her board and her team, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And so everyone would show a proof of concept to show they're doing something.
With all of this investment, you have to also consider the ethical considerations. And what's your take on that?
So we take safety and safe deployment of these models very seriously. But I do want to demarcate between a couple of things. There's been a lot of science fiction, doomsday scenario talk of Terminators taking over the world and so on. And we think that's a distraction. That's distracting from what's really important, which are the risks right now. These systems are in production in the world, and we need to think about some serious issues like bias, like toxicity, misinformation. When do we make sure there's a human in the loop? You wouldn't want an AI system prescribing a drug to a patient, but you probably would want a pharmacist to be able to access a huge amount of information, search and retrieve information from different data sources to help to make the best decision about prescribing a drug, but ultimately then make that decision. So we really focus on those elements, those guardrails around safe deployment of this, and maybe leave the science fiction for the movie theater.
Looking at the pace of innovation, all the breakthroughs that are taking place, what are you most excited about?
So what I'm most excited about is the ability to search and retrieve from an absolutely enormous corpus of information. There's been a lot of hype around the generative models, writing a poem about your parakeet and all the consumer chatbots that are out there and so on. But for enterprise, what's really going to be exciting is how can I have a very easy conversational interface like we're talking about right now, but be able to access an enormous amount of very disparate, unstructured, sensitive information and data from across the data sources in the enterprise in a very safe way. Find information, have it retrieved, and be able to synthesize that in a very rapid way. And if you think about the breakthrough that internet search had on what we all do as consumers, but also in the workplace. Think about that breakthrough now, being able to find information and very quickly synthesize that and make better decisions at work, for example, for enterprises, or as a consumer, being able to interact and interface with your service provider and be able to find information and make decisions and make changes very quickly. I think that's very exciting. I think the most exciting is going to be when this technology becomes so mainstream that we don't think about it anymore. Just like I don't think anyone here thinks about how incredible the internet is, we just use it all the time. And so when it becomes mundane, just part of what we do every day, I think that's going to be the most exciting.
Do you see any countries that are really paving the way in this kind of technology? And also, on the flip side of that, what emerging markets could really benefit from it?
It's an interesting question. I think, I'm originally Canadian. I'm now naturalized American as well, and British and German parents, but Canada has actually been at the forefront of this for quite a while. A lot of the technology came out of U of T and Professor Jeffrey Hinton and Université de Montréal with Yoshua Bengio. A lot of the leaders around the world in many of these AI groups came from Canada. Our co-founders, including Aidan Gomez, who was one of the inventors of the Transformer, the TNGPT, when he was at Google Brain, he came back to Canada to sort of found a generational company there to tap into that talent. But I think the question about which countries are ahead, in my mind, comes down to adoption. And so many countries can talk about it. Here's some policies, here's some subsidies, here's some funding, look how great our universities are. Ultimately, I think being a leader in AI will be defined by the deployment. We're actually deploying it. We're using it in how we give services to our citizens. We're using it in terms of how we give people better access to information about the tax code or about immigration or about programs that are available. And so I think We've certainly been talking to policymakers and government leaders to encourage them to not just talk about it, but actually show that they're deploying it. One of the reasons that's important is it gives the populace trust. If you see that you're getting way easier access to information about renewing your driver's license, that makes your day easier and saves 5 hours waiting in line, you're going to have a lot more trust that this technology is not to be feared, but actually is going to be something that is really great for society.